All right, Heat fans and NBA fans alike, thank you for clicking that play button. I'm going to make this video as short as I possibly can while mentioning all the teams that are considered contenders or potential contenders. And this video is basically just highlighting that every team that's in the East has issues. So even if they're the favorites like Boston or the Bucks, they all have issues. So I want to start this video by starting with the issues that the Bucks have. So right now, the clear issue is the return of Middleton. So if Middleton returns and he's back to his usual levels, then they should be fine. Obviously, they're odds, and they also have the best player in the world. So they're still going to be the favorites. They also had the #1 defense during the playoffs last year, so I don't see how anybody doesn't have them as the favorite. But hey, that's on you guys. But yeah, issue #1 is Chris Middleton. Is he going to return and get hurt, or is he going to return and not be his usual self? Because they need him to play well to make sure that it's a guaranteed lock that they at least get to the conference finals and then the finals. Another issue I'm seeing with them is that they did sign Joe Ingles, but he is injured and coming from an MCL tier or ACL tier. So that's going to be a thing, if he comes back and he just doesn't really do much. Their free agency signings they were decent. They're, nothing too crazy. They're obviously lacking in young talent. We really don't know how good their first round draft pick is going to be this year, so that's an issue. And there isn't going to be a long list of issues for the Bucks because they're a good team. So we're going to transition to the next team, which is the Celtics. The Celtics, also another team that's pretty good. I mean, we took them to 7, even though we were kind of, beat up, but, you guys got the win, so I'm not going to say anything else. Problem that I'm seeing with you guys is the Jays are actually going to be your first issue. So there's still going to be that rift between the two of them. They were saying that you guys try to trade Jaylen Brown, so that's going to be a thing that might pop up next year, and same thing as what we dealt with last season where they were saying that they should trade one. So don't be surprised if that pops up again. But the main issue with the Jays is the turnover issue. So when you look at the numbers versus, let's just compare them to the Golden State Warriors. If you look at the list, you'll see that they're 1 and 2 in turnovers, and we could say, well, obviously they got all the way to finals, so that's why they're really high up on the list. But if you look at the amount of turnovers, I mean, it's ridiculous how they just can't take care of the ball. So that's their biggest Achilles heel right now. And there'll be games that they'll need to learn to play with each other. So another issue is they traded for Malcolm Brogdon, but while he was playing for Indiana, he missed a significant amount of games. So he could have played 246 games, which no one ever plays that amount. But he only played 146 games, which is 59%. So I know Boston has like a great medical staff, and it's known as one of the cities with like great medical history. But I don't know if you guys are going to be able to fix him, so that's going to be a red flag for me. So he's obviously better than Derek White, but will he be available? So that should be an issue for you guys. Also, Danilo got hurt, so there goes your brownie points you guys were getting for signing him. Danilo's hurt, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it's a sprain or if it's an ACL tear, but he's got a knee issue, so that's going to be an issue. So now we're going to transition to the Sixers. So the biggest issue for the Sixers right now is Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is the best center in the NBA, and he should have been the MVP last season. And I know there will be people who don't agree with me, but yeah, you guys probably like Mr. Never Do Anything in the playoffs, aka Jokic. And I know you guys are going to argue and say that it's a regular season award and he was better in the regular season, but I disagree. I think Joel Embiid should have won that award. But let's get into Joel Embiid. So he is the best center, but he's always hurt. So even when he's healthy, that there's some part of him that's aching. They got to the second round and they played us in the second round and they lost. And the excuse was Joel Embiid was hurt. And it's valid. He was hurt. But when is he never hurt, guys? So that's your main issue, is keeping Joel healthy and making sure he's close to being 100%. No one's ever really 100%, but if you can keep him healthy, then yeah, you guys are going to be a problem. Another issue I have for the Sixers is Doc Rivers. I've always spoken with my friends who are Sixers fans, and I've never heard a Sixers fan say, I like Doc Rivers. So clearly you guys have an issue with Doc Rivers, and most NBA fans don't respect Doc Rivers. I mean, they think he's a good coach, but they don't think he's an elite coach. And we know he's not better than Bud, and he's not better than Spo. He's not better than the Celtics coach, Emi, I think his name is. I don't mean to disrespect Celtics fans. He's a good coach, so I like him. You also have James Harden, but you don't have the right version of James Harden. You guys have not even the Brooklyn version. He just looks really slow. He doesn't look like himself. I know he's been working out this offseason, but I'll believe it when I see it in terms of him getting back to his Houston days. So, I've seen NBA fans say things like James Harden's going to take the Sixers to the strip club. That's how far he's going to take them. So NBA fans definitely not worried about the Sixers. I mean, it's funny to me when I see Heat fans propping up the Sixers like they're on the same level as the Celtics and the Bucks. They're not. You're gonna have to show me. That's how I look at it. I'm not gonna say it's impossible. Show me. I'm not giving that to you guys. Especially since we beat you guys last year and we were the #1 team last year. So I don't understand how any Heat fan in his right mind or her right mind would put the Sixers above us. But you can have your own opinion. Your own wrong opinion. So you guys also signed Harrell, but the funny thing about you guys signing Harrell was the fact that he was telling the police officer that Jokic is better than Joel, so that's going to be very awkward for you guys. He also said the Sixers arena is one of the worst arenas, and that's hilarious to me because now he's a Sixer, and Heat fans are making a big deal because we didn't go out and sign him, but Pat doesn't care to have players with drug issues. You should have known that since the Michael Beasley days. He's not high on players with drug issues. So no big deal. He's a decent player, but I don't see why, people are putting the Sixers, propping them up as a championship team. They're paper champs. They got PJ Tucker, but PJ Tucker is 37 years old, guys. Stop making it seem like PJ Tucker is like the best power forward ever. Like, stop it. So the next team I want to move on to, another team I'm not high on, just like the Sixers, they're paper champions, the Brooklyn Nets. So I always ask people when they put the Nets as like a contender, I'm like, who's their coach? Because no one likes Steve Nash as a coach. We like him as a player, but nobody respects him as a coach. Kyrie surely doesn't. Kyrie said that they don't have a coach, and then they also try to get Steve Nash fired. So I don't understand how people are like propping the Nets above the Heat. Like, just like with the Sixers, that's so confusing for me. Like, obviously the Nets have issues, so that's one issue is coaching. Another issue is, they look better than the team that they had last year. They still have Claxton, who missed like 10 straight free throws, so not really expecting much in terms of the new additions that they added. And you better believe that off the court issues that they had in the summer, that's going to catch up with them in the regular season. Don't be surprised if they have like issues during the regular season. They signed Jimmy Butler Jr. TJ Warren. But yeah, what has he done since Jimmy Butler made him his son? I know he's been hurt, but he was never a good player after that situation with Jimmy Butler. They have a pretty good roster minus Claxton. He's trash, but they're paper champions. Also, Kevin Durant is 34 years old. I know most people are going to say it's not an issue because of his play style and he can shoot from anywhere. But what the hell happened last year when he got doubled and triple teamed? They lost. They got swept. So obviously it is an issue, and he's playing a significant amount of minutes, and he only tore his Achilles like 2 years ago. So how is that a good thing? So if he's playing like 40 minutes a game, it more than likely increases his chances of getting hurt. So a lot of people will say, well, obviously if any star gets hurt on any team, then it's curtains for that team. But he's more likely to get hurt. He's coming off that Achilles rupture. So why would you play him 40 minutes a game? So that needs to change this season. He needs to play like 36 minutes max. He doesn't need to be playing 40 minutes a game. And maybe he wants to play 40 minutes a game, but if he gets hurt, don't say I didn't warn. So that's their issue, right? Those are their issues right now. So, Nets, they have a coaching issue, and they obviously have drama, and I'm not really feeling their signings over the summer. I feel like it's somewhat overrated, but we'll see. And I almost forgot about Ben Simmons. This guy is definitely going to be an issue for the Nets because at the end of the day, even if he does play, it's like, is he still going to be a good defender? Is he going to take any threes? Is he going to shoot outside of the painted area? Is he going to dunk on short players like Trae Young? You know, he definitely has some mental issues from the last time we seen him play with the Sixers. So he's going to be a big red flag for them, or a question mark, whatever you want to call it, but he's definitely an issue. So the final team, and the team that everybody should be here for, is the Miami Heat, our team. And the problem with our team is that we probably needed to make a trade over the summer or at some point during the season. And obviously we wanted Durant, but we're not going to trade Bam and give him whatever the hell they want for Kevin Durant, who is 34 years old. It just doesn't make sense. You would trade for Kevin Durant, but you want to pair him with Bam. We also missed out on the Donovan Mitchell trade, but we already know Danny Ainge and Pat Riley don't like each other. So that there probably wasn't anything going on there for real, especially since he went to Cleveland. So that's another trade that we missed out on. But hey, you still got Miles Turner and you still got Harrison Barnes, so we need to make a trade. The power forward issue is not a new issue, so we need to stop pretending like it's a new issue. It's an old issue that we never really took care of. We had guys that were decent power forwards like Jay Crowder. He's decent, but is he really the answer to the power forward? I mean, we got to the finals with him, but we could do better, right? PJ Tucker was 37 years old, 36, 37 years old. We didn't get the best version of PJ Tucker, but he did a pretty decent job, but he was always stuck in the corner anyway, so I don't know why we're complaining about the possible replacements for him, but it's still an issue though, because the power forwards that we might play that aren't named Jimmy Butler, he might now be a power forward, you know, they aren't super talented. I still feel like Caleb Martin could be more productive than PJ Tucker, but the problem with Caleb Martin is that he says he's going to gain weight, but realistically he might be 215, 220 when he comes into training camp. So everyone's worried about, you know, him getting overpowered. That should be our main issue. We always had rebounding issues with the power forwards because they were small. So that's not even a valid argument, but it's definitely an issue that we're dealing with right now, where we don't know who our power forward is or who our power forward will be. And we also don't think it matters because we still feel like we need to make a trade. So we definitely need to get Jimmy Butler some help. So that's our biggest issue right now, is getting Jimmy Butler help via trade, or obviously, you know, the players we have right now. Depot needs to get back to form, which might not be something that's going to happen next season. But, you know, obviously prior to his injuries in Indy, he was pretty good. If we can get Victor Oladipo to, you know, get close to his old self, that's great. If we can get an older Kyle Lowry to keep the weight off and play a majority of the games, that would also be great. But that's a reason for concern. That's an issue. You know, we have an older Kyle Lowry, and so we have an older Kyle Lowry, and he missed some games last season. So there we go. We've got players that are getting older. Jimmy Butler's getting older, so they're going to miss games. And so, you know, it's not going to be easy for us to be a top 4 team in the East. We definitely are a top 6 team, but to keep that top 4 standing, it's going to require Spoelstra to get really creative. Hopefully he plays Yurt. That's another issue with us. We don't know what to do with Yurt. We don't know what to do with Duncan. Yurt's trying to get some minutes. So we've got some, you know, roster issues. So we got guys that we, you know, fans don't want anymore, but, you know, we got to figure out how to, we're probably going to end up keeping Duncan. So we got to figure out how to make him effective and back to his old form and shooting 43% from 3. So, you know, we've got issues, but the other teams got issues too, guys. So if I missed something, you know, let me know. Go ahead and comment. But those are the issues that all the teams are dealing with. And, you know, if you guys want to add something, go ahead and say it, guys. Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and, you know, let's talk basketball.